Nothing says all-out brawl quite like the Zone Collision, an event that is typically the penultimate event of the season that has now been moved forward to event number 14 here in Season 5. Welcome back to the Team Quadrilla Marble League. We're here with the third to last event in the A division. It's all to play for up top, but this is really the survival of the fittest here in Zone Collision. We have 16 matches here today. Each team will swap over for a second period, so 32 rounds of collision here today, and the aim of the game is twofold. You want to stay on the arena, you can get double points for that, but you also want to get as far into your opponent's zone as possible. So if you come from the left, you want to get as far into the right as possible. As you can see on the screen here, 1 to 5 points if you're off the arena, 2 to 10 points if you're on the arena. And then coming from the right, you want to get as far into the left as possible here. Same scoring, just flipped. And now we take a look at the standings. After Event 13, the Elimination Race, Deep Divers with their bronze rose back up into the lead, head of the Rose Blocks by 5 points. Golden Cheese is further 12 points down in third place. Then it's the Maze Runners and the Venomous Vipers, our hosts, jumped up into the top 5 once again. We're hoping to continue that fine form from the last event here. But now we'll have the test run between the Ocean Ophidians and the Death Adders. We'll have both periods here in the test run to show everything here, a full match in Zone Collision. And off they go here. This time Ocean Ophidians coming from the left. And a fast descent for them. One of their marbles streaking off to the right side. That will be a 5 for that marble. Death Adders, is that going to be a 5 from their leftmost marble? It's tough to tell here. We'll see a visual here. 5, 5, 3, and 3 for the Ocean Ophidians. And that is counted as a 5 for the Death Adders, but also a 3, 3, and 2 for them. So the Ophidians will get the edge from the first period by 3 points here. The Death Adders will have to make up that 3-point deficit in the second period. So this time, the Death Adders would come from the left, Ocean Ophidians from the right. None of the marbles managed to stay on the arena in that first period. So if anyone can do it here, they can get some big points in the second period. But once again, no one gets on the arena. A very symmetrical arrangement of the marbles off the arena here. And one of the Ophidians goes off far to the left. That's going to be a 5-pointer for that marble alone. Death Adders, a 5, 4, 4, and 3 for them. So decent score for them off the arena. 5, 3, 3, 3 for the Ocean Ophidians. And it's a 2-point victory here for the Death Adders. But they were 3 points down coming to the second period. So the Ocean Ophidians by 1 point will get the win here. A very tight demonstration here across both periods. But now on to the main event we go. Golden Cheeses and Team Atlantic here. The Golden Cheeses sit in third place in the championship. They won the whole shot cross back in event number 12 here. Didn't have the greatest of eliminations. Didn't have a greatest of elimination races. But they have 2 5s. I think their first and third marble making it all the way to the right side. Team Atlantic also have 1 5 and 3 marbles in the 4. While Golden Cheeses have 2 marbles in the 3. Those are the 2 lowest scoring marbles of this match. Once again, no one gets on the arena. So very tight here, 17 to 16 to Team Atlantic. It's pretty much all going to come down to the second period. The Golden Cheese chasing those top 2. They're pretty much in the best of the rest position here. 12 points under second place Roseblogs. They want to do whatever they can here to advance here. Team Atlantic almost stayed on the arena with that middle marble. They're going to fall off with Kraken, their new marble. They'll go on to the 3. Golden Cheese will get a 5. I don't think Team Atlantic has any 5s, but is it enough for the Golden Cheese to make up that deficit? The Team Atlantic will have 2 4s and 2 3s here, and the Cheeses will have 2 2s, so I don't think that 5-pointer and that 4-pointer will be enough, and it's not! 14 to 13 to Team Atlantic. By 1 point, they will get the edge here in the second period, so by 2 points, they will get the edge over the Golden Cheeses here. The third place team in the championship is done. And Team Atlantic is moving on to the quarterfinals. Now, Venomous Vipers and the Green Supreme. A green matchup here. Our hosts against the Green Supreme. Silver medalists in this event last season. In fact, Venomous Vipers also bronze medalists in this event last season. So a pretty stacked heat in this one. Once again, no one goes on the arena. Some slight collisions there. It was kind of concentrated towards the right side. But who will get the edge here? Venomous Vipers. A 5 and 2 4s. That's looking very good for them. Green Supreme will get a 5 and 2 3s. So the Vipers will be ahead by 2 points, 15 to 13 in this first period. Not insurmountable by any means, but the Vipers have the edge. They are in 5th place in the championship. Also want to close that gap. Really want to advance here. And this time, they will come from the right. Green Supreme from the left. Hard collision in the center. One of them, the Vipers are on. They're going to curl off, though. They're going to curl way off the arena. That could have been a 10 or an 8. That's going to be a 4 instead. And that's going to cost the Venomous Vipers. The Green Supreme are off the arena, but far into the Venomous Viper zone with a 5 and 2 fours and a 3 for the Green Supreme. Is that enough for them to get the win here? The Vipers have a 2 and a 1 as well. So by 4 points, the Green Supreme will get the edge, and that will do it. Green Supreme will make up the comeback here. By 2 points overall, they will get the win. And the Venomous Vipers also knocked out. 3rd place and 5th place now in the championship are done. The Green Supreme very happy with that. Maze Runners and Shadow Riders now. The Maze Runners in 4th place in the championship. They've seen the teams on either side of them get knocked out here. Hard collisions in the center. Punting marbles to either side. One of the Shadow Riders is going to be on the arena. That's the first marble of the day, I think, that's going to be on the arena here. Is that going to be a 10? That might be a 10 from, I think that might be Umbra. Or is that an 8? We'll have to see here. But Maze Runners will get a pair of 4s, one off screen, and a pair of 3s, and that will be counted as an 8 for the Shadow Riders. So that will help the Maze Runners a little bit. They only have a 3-point deficit here, but still that 8-pointer huge by Umbra to get them the early lead. Maze Runners will have to do some coming back here from the right side. Shadow Riders from the left side, we'll see what they can do here. The Maze Runners would be a 3rd team in the top half knocked out. We'll have to see. Maze Runners, will that be a 10? I think that's a 10 from one of their models. But the Shadow Riders also have their captain resting on the 8. So a high-scoring affair here in the 2nd period of this 3rd heat. It's going to come close here. I think Maze Runners should get the edge. Their other models are also doing a decent job. But the Shadow Riders also have an 8 and a 5 here. The Maze Runners will get 10, 4, 3, and 2. Oh, that 2 might be dragging them down, and it will! 19 to 17, the Maze Runners will get the win in the 2nd period by 2 points, but they are 1 point short as a whole, and the Shadow Riders will knock out yet another team in the top 5. 3rd to 5th in the championship, all gone here. This is looking great for our top 2 to extend their advantage. Now, Efficient Eggs and the Cold Fusion. Efficient Eggs are an 8th in the championship, so not the highest of contenders. And the Cold Fusion, what a run here in this 1st period. 2 models on the arena, while the Efficient Eggs have absolutely none. They will get 110 there, and 1 in their own zone, so that'll be a 4. Efficient Eggs off the arena are doing a decent job. 5, 4, 4, and 3. But the Cold Fusion definitely going to get the early advantage here by 4 points. Not the biggest margin here. The Efficient Eggs did what they could off the arena, but they still have some work to do in the 2nd period. Yet another top half team might be knocked out perhaps. We'll have to see. But the Cold Fusion have the early advantage here. This time they'll come from the left. Efficient Eggs coming from the right. Cold Fusion firing out like a cannon there was their captain. I mean, appropriately enough, Cold Fusion may be practicing some nuclear fusion there, and it's not going to do the Efficient Eggs any favors off the arena and in their own zone on the right side. 3 4s and a 3 for the Cold Fusion. They're going to extend their advantage easily here. 3 2s for the Efficient Eggs. And 15 to just 9 for the Efficient Eggs. An absolute drumming here for them. Cold Fusion are going to sail through the heats and to the quarterfinals. 35 to 25. That is the biggest margin of victory here today, and the Cold Fusion are very happy with themselves for that. Now, Deep Divers and Poison Ivy, a very interesting match here. Our championship leaders in this one, and these 2 teams are the 2 teams that have won this event back in Season 3 and Season 4 here. Poison Ivy, oh, they'll have 1 on the 8 there. Coming from the right, they'll have 1 on the 8. I think that's Toxin that rests just barely on the 8. Nice arresting of their momentum. Deep Divers have 2 in the 4. No 5s for them though. So the Poison Ivy will come away with the early advantage here. Can they knock out the championship leaders? It's going to be a definite victory for them in this 1st heat. But it's only by 3 points. The other marbles couldn't do that much. 16 to 13 to the Poison Ivy. Now everyone is hoping they can do whatever they can to hold on to that 3-point advantage. This time, Poison Ivy coming from the left. Deep Divers need to do some coming back from the right side. And off they go here. Some of the Poison Ivy going off on the far side. And the Deep Divers have 2 resting on the 8 from the right side. And that advantage has been completely extinguished here. A chain reaction. Deep Divers doing whatever they can to stay on that center line, stay on the arena. Poison Ivy have 1 on the 4 in their own zone. 1 on the 4 and a 5 in the Deep Divers zone, but 2 8s, a 4 and a 3 for the Deep Divers, and they are going to comfortably beat the Poison Ivy here. 8 points is the difference in that 2nd period, so 5 points is the margin of victory overall. The Deep Divers are our first team in the top half that are going to move on here, and they're the championship leaders. This is disaster for pretty much every other team in the standings here in their pursuit to win the championship. Pumpkin Patch sitting in sixth in the championship, hoping to do something here. They will have all their marbles going off on the far side. Bacon Brawlers all to the near side. The Pumpkin Patch seem to have the better start here. They are closer to the Bacon Brawlers zone than the Bacon Brawlers are to their zone. Pair of 3s, a 4 and a 5, while the Bacon Brawlers are spread apart 4, 3, 2, 1 here. So a 5-point victory here for the Pumpkin Patch. They didn't even need to have any marbles on the arena to get that big of a margin here. It's looking good for the Pumpkin Patch to be just the second team today in the top half to advance. They will this time come from the right side. We typically see higher scores on the left side, perhaps. So maybe the Bacon Brawlers will be able to come back here. Their first marble comes very quickly, but I think the Pumpkin Patch will hold their own here. Everyone off the arena. And that last Pumpkin Patch marble almost managed to arrest their momentum and stay on the 8. They will go off, albeit between a 4 and a 5. But the Bacon Brawlers just 3 3s and a 4. That's not the best here, coming from the left side. 5, 4, 2, and 2 for the Pumpkin Patch. Very even here, and in fact, it's tied in the second period. 13 all. That means Pumpkin Patch will be winning by 5 points in the 6th heat. The Pumpkin Patch, perhaps one of the only contenders here remaining, comfortable contenders, after this event, if they can go far here today, it's just the second team in the top half advancing. Now, Valley Dashers and the Treat Fleet here. Treat Fleet dead last in the standings. Valley Dashers, I think, are 7th in the standings. And, they'll have one marble bordering on the 8 or the 10. Valley Dashers, I think, will have the early advantage here, surely. Treat Fleet, not even close to any high scoring points here. They'll get a 4, a 3, a 3, and a 2. And that'll be scored as an 8 there for the Valley Dashers. So 2 points less than the worst case scenario for the Treat Fleet, but by 5 points they will have the early advantage here over the Treat Fleet. Can they be our third team in the top half to advance here today? Now they'll come from the right side, Treat Fleet from the left. The Treat Fleet need to dig deep here. Struggling in this season. They've typically been better in team events though. But can they hone that skill here? Treat Fleet will have 2 on the arena. Will that one marble rest on the 8 or the 10? They'll rest on the 8. That will be an 8 for them. But they'll also have a 6. And the Valley Dashers have absolutely no marbles on the arena. They have 2 marbles far into the Treat Fleet zone. That will be 5 points from the 2 of them. But the Treat Fleet, very high scoring in the second period. Have they done enough to advance here? 2 5s, a 3, and a 2 for the Valley Dashers coming from the right. And by 7 points, the Treat Fleet will get the win. They've done enough here to beat the Valley Dashers. By 2 points, 34 to 32, the Treat Fleet will make the comeback and go on to the quarterfinals. Valley Dashers will be yet another one of those top half teams to not advance here. And after having such an advantage in that first period, they're going to be very disappointed with themselves. But now, Rosebud and Bauble Squad in the final heat here before we go on to the following rounds. Contact in the Bauble Squad zone. Rosebud have one in the 5 zone. And I think they definitely have the early advantage here. The Rosebuds, dead last in this event last season. They seem to be much better here this time. At least in the first period, a 5, 2 4s, and a 3. While the Bauble Squad only have 2 4s, a 2, and a 1. So a big lead in this first heat for the Rosebuds. And they absolutely need that. With the Deep Divers advancing, they need whatever they can to advance here and get close to them in this event. This time, they will come from the right side, have a 5-point advantage to hold on to. Bauble Squad from the left side, can they do anything here? Bauble Squad, once again, the contact is towards the Rosebud side, but the Bauble Squad will have one in the center on the 6th. The Rosebuds have no marbles on the arena, and the Bauble Squad will certainly outscore the Rosebuds in the second period. Oh, it's going to be very tight here. Is that enough to make up that 5-point deficit for the Bauble Squad? They'll have a 6, a pair of 3s, one of them bordering on a 4, but that's going to be a 3. And 1 4, and a 4, and a 2 2s, and a 3 for the Rosebuds. And it's 16 to 11. Once again, we are tied. Exact same score from round 1, but they're giving it to the Bauble Squad. With the exact same score, we have to go to the highest individual score. And courtesy of Tinsel with that 6 in period 2, they are going to advance on to the quarterfinals. The Rosebuds, by the slimmest of margins, are going to miss out. They will get 9th place here. That is heartbreaking for them. Maze Runners will get 10th place. The Fish and Eggs and the Bacon Brawlers, the Breakfast Bowl teams, bottoming out in this event. And now into our top half here for the quarterfinals. Just the Deep Divers and the Pumpkin Patch battling each other. The only teams in the top half coming into this event. Now Team Atlantic and the Green Supreme here. 2 teams that have done well in this event before. Green Supreme more so though. But Team Atlantic will have 2 marbles on the arena. Green Supreme will have won, but they came from their own zone. They'll only get 4 points. That's Seafoam on their own zone. And Team Atlantic will get a 4 and a 6 from their own marbles. So marbles not going into their opponent's zone but staying on the arena. Although Team Atlantic have one marble Kraken getting a 5 there. So they will get a 5-point advantage in this first period here over the Green Supreme. It's a big margin, but certainly not one we've seen. It's certainly one we've seen that has been made a comeback here in this event. Now, Green Supreme from the left side. Can they use that to their advantage? They will get out in front with their captain. One of Team Atlantic punted back to their own zone. That'll just be 2 points for them. But Green Supreme aren't on the arena at all here. I don't think they've done enough to meet Team Atlantic here. It'll be 3 4s though for the Green Supreme and 1 2. And Team Atlantic actually a very poor result in this second period. 2 3s and 2 2s. So it's 4 points to the Green Supreme. Just barely, it's not enough. Team Atlantic will just about hold on. 28-27. Team Atlantic are going on to the semi-finals. The Green Supreme will be knocked out here in an event they typically do very well in, but they'll still get a top half result. But now, Shadow Riders and the Cold Fusion here. The Shadow Riders got silver in the last event, Cold Fusion dead last in the last event, and Shadow Riders square in the center goes Gloom. They'll get 6 points here. Perfect arresting of their own momentum here, using their teammate to just stay plucked in the center like a stone. And one of the marbles also getting a 4 with a pair of 3s. It's looking good for the Shadow Riders. The Cold Fusion also doing a good job of have at least one of their marbles getting far into their opponent's zone, getting a 5. That's Deuterium. And there's just 4 points in it between the Shadow Riders and the Cold Fusion here. This time Cold Fusion coming from the left, Shadow Riders from the right. This match isn't done by any means here. And off they go. Shadow Riders seem to be faster. The contact zone is in the left side. And as a result, I think the Shadow Riders will do it. The Cold Fusion are perched in their own zone. They have 1 5, but I think 3 2s. And that's not going to do it. 3 2s and a 5, that's only going to be 11 points for the Cold Fusion in the second period. They're going to be outscored once again by the Shadow Riders. And the Shadow Riders, by 1 point, will get the win in the second period. Easily going to move on to the semi-finals. They've made amazing last-ditch comebacks in the final few events of both the last 2 seasons. Are they perhaps lining up for that once again here in Season 5? But now on to Quarterfinal C. A huge quarterfinal here. Deep Divers and Pumpkin Patch. Pumpkin Patch, one of the final hopes here to dethrone the Deep Divers, at least in this event. But the Deep Divers will have won on the 8. Oh, they're curling. They're curling to the right side. Is that going to be a 10? They're bordering between the 8 and the 10. That is very close to call here by Shipwreck. But the Pumpkin Patch do have 2 in the 5. It's not over for the Pumpkin Patch, though the Deep Divers, I think, will have the early advantage here. 10, 5, 4, and 3 for the Deep Divers. 2 5s and 2 3s for the Pumpkin Patch. What's it going to be here? 22-16. A 6-point advantage to our championship leaders. The Pumpkin Patch need to dig deep. The hopes and dreams of pretty much every other team riding on the Pumpkin Patch here. They are coming from the left. Deep Divers coming from the right. What will it be here? Contact is in the middle. Shipwreck is on, but they're going to be off, and the Pumpkin Patch will have won on the 8. That could be a huge difference maker here in this quarterfinal. The Pumpkin Patch look much better positioned in the second period. A 5, a 4, and a 3. While the Deep Divers, their highest score is a 3 from just 2 of their marbles. They have 2 2s to the Deep Divers, and as a result, 20-10 by 10 points. The Pumpkin Patch will make up the deficit here by 4 points. They had a tall order, but they have surpassed them, and the Deep Divers, the championship leaders, are out. The door is open now for so many other teams. It hasn't been burst open, but it is not sealed shut anymore, and almost every single team remaining in this event can stay in contention with a gold or a silver or a bronze here. Now, Treat Fleet and the Bauble Squad. Treat Fleet will get the early advantage here. They'll have a 8 there, and Bauble Squad pushed back in their own zone. I'll be either 4 or 2 from Tinsel. With the Treat Fleet trying to get another medal here. They have 2 on the season, but an 8, a 4, a 4, and a 2. That'll be the early advantage for them for sure over the Bauble Squad. Bauble Squad will have 1 5 there, but a 3 and 2 2s. So 18-12, 6-point advantage to the Treat Fleet. But of course, we learned just from the last match, 6-point advantage, not over for the Bauble Squad. They are coming from the left. Do they have what it takes to make up that 6 points from the left side. Oh, Treat Fleet are slow out of the gate, and they're going to pay the price for it. Ball Squad, all their members in the Treat Fleet zone. They have two 5s and 2 4s. Oh, Tinsel almost getting the 8 there. But the Treat Fleet are going to get a pair of 2s here. So it's going to be a massive swing into the Bubble Squad's favor. Is it a match-winning swing, though, here for them? Yes, it is. 18-11 by 7 points. By 1 point, they will get the win here overall. 30-29. The Bubble Squad have pulled off the comeback once again. They do just enough to make the comeback every single time. And they are getting a top 4 finish. Treat Fleet will get best of the rest with the lowest differential. We go to points 4 for the same differential. Deep Divers, the championship leaders, will only get 7th place in this event. It's a top half result, but only 9 points for them. Pumpkin Patch, they're a team to watch out for in that second semi-final. If they can get a gold or a silver here, they should surely be within striking distance of our championship leaders. But first, Team Atlantic and the Shadow Riders in the first semi-final. Shadow Riders fired out like a cannon from the right side, and they have 2 marbles on the arena here. A 8 and a 6 there from Gloom and Umbra, I think that is. And just the Team Atlantic have 4 2s. All of them are perched in pretty much the same place. Absolutely crushed by the Shadow Riders in this first period. 20-8 to the Shadow Riders. What a job by them. They look to sail to the final here in this first semi-final. The Team Atlantic have anything for them in the semi-final. Shadow Riders, do they have the top 2 finish already locked up here? They got a silver in this event back in Season 3. Coming from the left side, all their marbles are in the center or close to Team Atlantic zone, and it is over for Team Atlantic. Their run in this event will come to an end. They can still get a bronze here, but Shadow Riders, a huge margin of victory with 5-4, 3-3 in the second period. Team Atlantic had no answer for the Riders here. 5 points in it between them in the second period. The biggest margin of victory probably we'll see today as a whole, 35-18. The Shadow Riders are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the final here today. They will face one of the Pumpkin Patch and the Bauble Squad from the second semi-final. The Pumpkin Patch, can they push themselves into the final here? It would be an over 10-point swing automatically to our championship leaders if they can. A collision from their anchors here. Bauble Squad will be on the arena but in their own zone. Far into their own zone. That'll be just 2 points for Santa. And the Pumpkin Patch will be pushed also in their own zone. That'll be just 1 from that marble that made contact. 5 for one of them though, so the Pumpkin Patch, I think, have the early advantage here. Bauble Squad, the only one with 1 on the arena, but well into their own zone. But actually, Bauble Squad have the edge. 4-3, 3-2. They were more consistent off the arena. Bauble Squad will lead here. Pumpkin Patch is just 1 point in it, so it's very close. All going to come down to the second period here. Bauble Squad coming from the left side. And, oh, I think it's done. Bauble Squad with 3 marbles in the 4 zone. I think their last marble also got 3. And the Pumpkin Patch have 2 marbles perched in their own zone on their own side. So the run of the Pumpkin Patch was great up to this point. They knocked out the championship leaders, but they're not going to knock out the Bauble Squad. The Bauble Squad are going to go on to the final. 15-10, a much larger margin of victory in the second semi-final. By 6 points overall, they will beat the Pumpkin Patch. Pumpkin Patch will have to settle for the bronze at the very best, and Bauble Squad will battle the Shadow Riders for the gold here in Zone Collision. Now, Team Atlantic and the Pumpkin Patch for the bronze. Can the Pumpkin Patch stand on the lowest step of the podium, or will Team Atlantic get their 3rd bronze of the season here today? Part of the course, getting dislodged there. Pumpkin Patch, their anchor, let the marbles out in front do the damage against Team Atlantic, and they had an open opportunity to just arrest their momentum on the 8th there. Great strategy by the Pumpkin Patch here. They will get the early lead. Team Atlantic just a 4 and 3 threes for them. They will be in a deficit after the first period. It's only by 3 points though. Team Atlantic had a 4 and 3 threes. No marbles in their own zone. So Team Atlantic could still get this bronze here. With the Pumpkin Patch, this 3 points could be pivotal in the championship battle. Pumpkin Patch this time coming from the perhaps favorable left side, while Team Atlantic from the right. The contact, Team Atlantic for first marble coming very close to the left side, but they are all off the arena once again here. And the Pumpkin Patch with 2 of their marbles are also far into Team Atlantic zone, so I think it's not going to be enough for Team Atlantic. With 2 4s, a 3 and a 2, the Pumpkin Patch should have done enough here, and that 5 is not going to do anything. By 1 point, 13 to 12, the Pumpkin Patch will win in the second period, so by 4 points, they will stand on the lowest step of the podium. The Pumpkin Patch will get their 3rd medal of the season, their 3rd medal in the last 4 events, mind you, and they are so pleased with themselves. They are going to be in this championship fight for sure. But now, for the final, for gold in zone collision. In the first period, Shadow Riders coming from the left, Bobble Squad from the right here. The Bobble Squad are very fast out of the gate. They do not want to let the Shadow Riders get in their own zone. Large contact here between the opening marbles, and the Shadow Riders absolutely pushed back in their own zone here. The Bobble Squad, it's going to be close between these two teams. They couldn't really get far into their opponent's zone themselves, but they didn't have a 1 here. So it's going to be a 12 to 11 win for the Bobble Squad. Shadow Riders this time from the right side. Can they do what they couldn't do back in Season 3 and win gold in zone collision? Two teams that have won golds in every season of the Team Quadrilla Marble League before this, both going for their first gold of the season. Off they go here. Contact in the center. Contact between their anchors. One of the Shadow Riders is on the arena, but they are far into their own zone. I don't know if the Shadow Riders have done enough. It's going to come down to the second period with just 1 point in it from the first period. But the Shadow Riders look far into their own zone here. But Bobble Squad also a low-scoring affair for them. Low-scoring all around here in the second period. So what's it going to be? 10 to 9 to the Bobble Squad. By 1 point, they get the win once again in the second period. So by 2 points, the Bobble Squad will capture gold in zone collision. They got a silver back in the triathlon, they got a bronze all the way back in the relay race in event 2, but here they are finally on top once again in the Team Quadrilla Marble League. 5 seasons of golds for the Bobble Squad, as they will capture gold. They are going to rise up the standings. Shadow Riders also going to rise up the standings, and the Pumpkin Patch, they might have done enough to eclipse the top 3 in the standings. But it's jubilation for Captain Jewel today as our gold medalists of this event. Well done to them. So with just 3 events to go, we indeed have our first eliminations. Cold Fusion, Poison Ivy, and Treevely cannot win the championship. Deep Divers still have the lead by 7 points. Pumpkin Patch rise up to 3rd place. Then it's the Golden Cheeses and the Maze Runners. Bobble Squad and Shadow Riders making gains into 6th and 7th. Our hosts sit down in 8th place now. And looking at the Captain's Championship with just 1 team event to go after this, the Gauntlet Run, the Deep Divers hold the lead. Green Supreme jump up back into 2nd place. Bobble Squad jump 5 spots into 4th place. The top 8 can all still win the Captain's Championship down to the Shadow Riders, and the Pumpkin Patch, Maze Runners, and the Fish Eggs can still make the podium. But with just 1 team event left and just 2 events left in the Team Quadrilla Marble League, it's all to play for here in the final stretch of Season 5. After this, we will go to the Gauntlet Run, the penultimate of the A Division and the finale of the B Division, and then we will close out once again with the Classic Marathon, so be there.